Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tys, how you doing, man?
I am well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 138 of Nick, Tys and Videotape. Welcome.
138.
138 indeed.
Good Lord.
Hope you're
Yes.
enjoying listening to our little show while you're locked indoors. Not for much longer.
That's true. It's easing up a bit.
Yes,
it's easing up.
We're pretty lucky to be living where we do live, and
that's true.
Having the luxury of being able to, slightly start to rejoin society in a safe and managed way,
sterilized
not like some
environment.
countries,
Yep,
where they are just basically throwing you out to the wolves.
Pretty much.
So we're pretty happy about
those
that.
Those of you who are in lockdown, stay safe, stay clean. You can make it. Don't worry.
That's it. And as we start to go back to work, that means that people start to have a commute again, which means they might be able to listen to our show again.
As if they're not going to listen to our show. They're listening to it anyway while they vacuum the stairs.
I will say this. The numbers say differently, but we're
okay.
And I'm putting it down to no longer that half the population no longer requires a commute. More than half, which is, I don't know about you, but my podcast listening has gone downhill massively.
I am one of those very lucky people that it takes me the length of 2 songs to get to work. So I don't have luxury podcast time. And because of the situation that we are in, I've been podcasting out my head.
Yeah, right.
It's lovely. I've been getting it all. I've got a backlog of just stuff that I'm just chewing through.
See, that sounds lovely. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Speaking of chewing through, Nick, what are we chewing through today?
Oh, Tice, we are talking about the Alex Proyas 1997's The Crow.
97?
97. Or James... Or, yeah, The Crow.
I thought I had it as 96.
Absolutely one of my...
no, 94.
94?
I think
what did I put 97 for?
That might have been Crow City of Angels.
Oh, maybe. I doubt it that I would go that wrong.
Yeah, it didn't seem right like it was that late in the 90s.
No, I remember it being really early. But this is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes, indeed.
So it's gonna be nice to talk. Yeah, it is 94. It's gonna be nice to talk to someone else. But I'm very biased though, Tyson. So that's
okay, man.
I tried to watch this movie with some open eyes for once, maybe some different eyes, a different look. There were a few things, but very minimal things, because this is a very, very big influence in my life, this movie.
Hey, man, you love what you love. No one's going to tell you any differently. But before we get into any of that, Nick, why don't you tell the people at home where they can find our show?
Oh, well, thanks for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. If you are on the commute, good luck to you. Have fun. Maybe honk that guy in front of you. Tell him to listen to Nick, Tys and Videotape.
Yeah, politely, though.
Politely. Just a little...
Cause any grief. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want any... Russell Crowe coming after you. Anyway.
Spoiler for
later. We are Nick, Tys and Videotape. We are a movie podcast. You can listen to us anywhere you'd like. We would love for you to rate, review, like, subscribe, all of those things. Do that wherever you can. We are on all the social medias as well. If you wish to follow us, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah.
Spotify. We forget to mention Spotify sometimes, but you can check us out on Spotify. Yeah.
We are now. Yep. We weren't, but now we are. Apart from that, Tyson and myself are big fans of the Letterboxd app. So if you wish to jump on there and follow us, Tyson is TYS_videotape, and I am Nick_videotape.
That's it. Nick, in very exciting news, we have a couple of trailers to talk about.
We do.
It's fun to be back to normal, isn't it?
Really good trailers. Yeah. Like really good trailers too.
Interesting trailers for sure.
Oh, what are we talking about?
Well, let me run my little intro thing first. This is how long it's been. We've forgotten. We've got a little song.
Oh, this is how long. Oh, jeez.
Everybody's talking trailers. All right, the song has played.
The song has played.
We're now back to normal. What should we talk about first? Do you want to talk?
Let's leave Kevin James to last.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to talk about Unhinged.
Unhinged.
Come on, man. Go! notice your tap is, young man? Sounds like this. It's light. It's friendly. I'm sure that's what your mom meant to do.
No, it's not. Mom!
Having a kind of a hard time lately. I'm sorry. You accept my apology?
Just ignore him.
Well, if you could just do the same, we could press reset.
I don't have anything to apologize for. Can you go, please?
Ma'am, are you okay?
I'm pretty sure the guy in that truck's following me.
He's road raging.
Why don't you just chill, man? Go your own way.
I don't think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.
That man stole my phone. Andy?
I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for you.
Whose phone is this?
I'm right across from your friend.
Hey, listen to me. He's not a friend, okay? He's a psycho who came after me today.
This is where your first lesson begins.
Give me my phone.
Put him back on this goddamn phone!
No, I can't do that.
What do you want?
I need you to learn what a bad day really is. I need you to learn how to say you're sorry. And you're gonna learn through violence and retribution. Sounds like you're waking up.
I'm wide awake.
You better bring your A game. You're gonna need it.
Now, I'll be honest, Nick, I just checked the trailers just in case. Like, I just kind of thought, look, I'll just see if anything's come out. Thinking that, we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Exactly.
And it's usually a good indication whether or not a trailer is picking up a little bit of buzz based on the YouTube views.
Yep.
And usually you're looking at like 9,000, 10,000 views, and that's kind of your pretty much...
For an average trailer.
Yeah, no one's really caring at all. And then every now and then one pops up and it's like, on this particular channel that I watch them through, it's 100,000, 150, 200,000. You're like, oh, this is something obviously that people care about. So that got me excited because that's what drew me to these two trailers that we're going to talk about, because the viewings were quite large on them, which is great.
And especially because we haven't had any trailers yet. We've been pretty dry. Everyone's been dry right now.
We're talking about Unhinged first, which is look. And this is the thing. Any other time of my life, I think I would see a trailer like this and be like, wait for video. But because I have not seen a new trailer for any kind of theatrically released movie for so long that I was just like, oh, this looks like the best movie ever.
It really does, though. It looks pretty intense.
It does look pretty intense.
Shall we?
It's got a bit of the.
Yeah.
Have we already braked to play it yet? Yeah,
we haven't. No. Shall we break now?
Are you sure? I think we did.
No, we braked to play Talkin Trailers.
And then then I said, which one should we do first?
Oh, Unhinged. We did do that. Moving right along. It's been a while since we've done trailers, as you can possibly see.
Yeah. We should rehearse this stuff. Nah.
Unhinged. So just to sum up what I saw literally five minutes ago, because Tys told me to watch it, and my God, I was blown away. So you've got Russell Crowe, a very, very heavy set Russell Crowe. You're talking John Goodman heavy.
I feel like this is Russell Crowe's natural state. I feel like if he's ever skinnier than this, he's not happy about it. This is how Russell Crowe wants to be. You can tell that he loves to eat. He loves a beer. Yeah. You can just tell that he's comfortable like this.
And he's still on the darts, like he loves a dart.
Yeah.
He hasn't quit. As if he
darts.
quit. He's not. He's punching tons of darts in the break. But yeah, you've got a heavy set Russell Crowe, who, like you said, they said, Russell, you can eat as much as you want in this film. He's like, done. Where am I signing? And you're paying me that much?
And I get to sit in a car for most of the movie?
I get to sit in a car? Right. Done. And I'm the bad guy? Ooh, done. So what you get is clearly, I love the tagline. It goes so well. So he's a man sitting in his car, and a lady behind him, the light goes green. She toots him, keeps tooting. He's not going to move. She lands on that horn like no tomorrow and just goes around him.
Yeah.
We have literally all been in that situation. Every single person who has driven.
Yeah.
Unless you are that person who just falls asleep at the wheel. That's terrible. Don't do that.
Look, I'll be 100% honest. I have stared blankly at a green light and not driven off before.
Absolutely.
100%.
Exactly. Me too. It's always green arrows for me, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's the green arrow, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I totally
They're
missed
tricky.
it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Exactly. But yes, and then I think it feels like the next day that Russell Crowe's character finds that lady.
Oh, I'm getting the vibe that it's like immediate.
In the car.
It's like straight after.
You reckon it's immediate?
I reckon that he just snaps and follows her down.
And just follows her.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, fair deal. So he follows her down. Now, this lady is a mother. She has her son in the car. Their windows are down. And you can tell by the conversation that Russell Crowe is giving her a chance. He's like, look, sorry about that. Was having a bad day. Maybe just a toot toot next time and I'll move. You've obviously
just
had
a
a
little
bad day.
courtesy toot. Is
Just
all he wanted?
Is all he wanted. That's all he wanted. Good Lord. And then she says no. She basically tells him to fuck off. And he unleashes hell on this woman.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I am in for this movie.
This
looks intense.
I kind of enjoy movies that do this. And there's not many of them. But the movies where it sets
Falling
up...
Down.
I was thinking of Falling Down came to mind as well.
Yep.
The movie where, look, inherently he's probably a really bad guy. But they also present us with somebody whose asshole-ish actions are the things that end up tipping him past the point of like
pushing the trigger,
holding on to his psychosis.
Exactly.
And I mean, and I like that. I'm getting real. Remember, we watched the trailer for it and discussed it as well last year. And when the movie came out, I heard nothing but ridiculously hilarious things about it. But it reminds me also of The Fanatic, that John Travolta thing.
Oh,
where it's like John Travolta as the crazed fan who basically just gets embroiled in a situation because he's the fan that he loves thinks he's a weirdo and he's rude to him and blah blah
a little
blah.
Bit too far.
I'm getting remember that. Sorry, you go.
Changing Lanes. Was Changing Lanes one,
which is basically like a one-upsmanship with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Wasn't it?
Samuel L. Jackson? Yeah.
Speaking of, the other one I'm getting the vibes for is like Lakeview Terrace as well.
Oh yeah, he moves in. It's a next door neighbor one. I remember that. I haven't seen him, but
which which also
trailers.
applies to our next trailer as well. Which I was getting vibes from that in our next trailer as well. It's all connected at the moment.
It's all connected.
Russell Crowe looks like he's having the time of his life, though. To be honest,
As if you're not reveling in these roles though. Like if you got this role, like it's just a time to have fun. He's done his period pieces, Russell Crowe. I love when he does when he does modern takes. Like when he does a modern film, it's very rare. He mostly sticks to, it's mostly ye oldie stuff that he does.
Yeah, he had a little stint as like doing like serious dramas and stuff, but I don't think they ever took off the way that I think he would have hoped. I think, when people think of like the movies that he's done, like, because he had a stint where he worked with some really great directors, but they're generally not the most well-remembered films of those directors.
No,
like,
exactly.
If you think of stuff like A Good Year or Body of Lies. Are they all Ridley Scott films, though?
Possibly.
Is Body of Lies a Ridley Scott film? Because otherwise I'm just saying he likes to work with Ridley Scott a lot on Ridley's not as good films.
That's true. Well, The Insider was Michael Mann.
Totally is a Ridley Scott movie as well.
No, it was Michael Mann.
No, Body of Lies is. That's
Body
really
of Lies
funny.
is, yeah. American Gangster, that was Ridley Scott as well.
What about State of Play? Was that a Ridley Scott? That had Russell Crowe in it as well, didn't it?
Didn't it? It did. State of Play. Kevin McDonald. Wasn't there he did a Spike Lee movie?
Russell Crowe.
Denzel. Was that him?
Oh, no. Are you thinking of American Gangster? That's a Ridley Scott film as well.
No, that's a Ridley Scott film. I'm thinking of, it's got a cover like The Insider, and it's got Denzel and Clive Owen. Was he in that?
Oh, The Inside Man.
That was The Inside Man.
No, I don't think he was.
I don't think he was in that.
No.
But yeah, when you think of Russell Crowe, you think Gladiator, you think Les Mis, you think A Beautiful Mind, you think Noah, Robin Hood, all of these period, but you don't think of, like, that's why when Nice Guys came out, everyone was like, fuck, man, give me some more Russell Crowe, dude. He's badass when he can be.
Yeah, and look,
that's why this is so appealing.
If you find the right usage of Russell Crowe, I think he is excellent. I think sometimes he can be a little bit disappointing, but generally I find him pretty amazing. He had a run God, we forget how great a run he had. From The Insider in 99, you get Gladiator, Proof of Life, which, give or take, Beautiful Mind, Master and Commander, Cinderella Man, Skip a Good Year, 310 to Yuma, American Gangster. Like, that is a run.
That is a mad run. Master and Commander, man. I want to watch that again. I remember really, really enjoying that.
Yeah, I loved it when I saw it. I remember I've only seen it the one time, but I just loved it sick.
Have you seen 310?
Yeah, absolutely. So
You've
good.
seen that? Yeah.
James Mangold.
Yeah. James Mangold.
But yeah, before we go on a Russell Crowe love fest, we should tag him in this and let him know that we love him.
We should.
He'll be great. He'll love it. He'll be really happy.
Man?
He'll think we're awesome.
Two Aussies.
That's it.
Even though
Two
he's
Aussie
from New
dudes
Zealand,
who
but that's
just called
okay.
him fat
Yeah.
not that long.
Excuse me. I believe the words were heavy set.
Yeah, heavy
which
set. No,
means
that's fine.
Heavy set's like
Rotund.
a guy. Yeah, no, rotund
Jolly.
is just fat. Stop calling him fat. God damn. That's so
but I
funny.
do, I am looking forward to this. It could just be that I'm starved of new releases at the moment, but I think this looks really interesting, and I'm keen to give it a watch. Yeah.
God damn, absolutely. Derek Brought is the director.
Yeah,
I
have not seen it.
don't know him.
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
Fair deal.
A couple of films, but nothing that I'd seen.
And that the lady who the woman who plays the mum.
Yeah, she looked really
Karen
familiar.
Pistorius. She's from Mortal Engines, but I haven't seen Mortal Engines. That's the only one I know from. Yeah.
Wow, she looks super familiar. Interesting.
Yeah. Did anyone see Mortal Engines?
No,
Anyone?
like not a soul.
No?
I reckon every
Not a
single
soul saw
session
it.
was empty of that movie. I think they made $4, and that was someone accidentally bought the wrong ticket and got a 50% discount.
That's right. They were going to see Cats, and they were like, "Oh fuck!"
That year? That was surely
this is-
That was surely the year
No,
before, wasn't it?
Obviously, wrong year. It was a
can't
bad
remember.
joke. It was so gold.
I was trying to remember what else came out. God, I just love those movies that like. This is such a sidetrack, but the ones that have
2018.
like the Boxing Day releases that you think are going to be huge, and I think the studio thinks is going to be huge, and then nobody sees it,
and just no one sees it.
You know, when
no one gives
all
a
you
fuck.
see for like the whole of December and November are like standees and posters and like these huge displays coming out Boxing Day, and you're like, "Ooh, that's the Boxing Day movie this year." All right, cool.
Ooh,
And then
look
it
at
just
that. That looks good. No one ever heard of it ever before.
no, not a thing.
Ever again.
Um,
That's a full pass.
full pass.
Unhinged.
Unhinged.
My God.
Maybe we're starved of new material, but I am pumped.
I am. I would like to see it. I hope it doesn't. I hope it gets a bit of a play. I hope it doesn't go straight to Netflix. If it does, though, I will be.
I'll be there in a heartbeat.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Shall we move on, Nick?
Let's move on to let's warm the audience up with the fact that when Tyson told me to watch this, he goes, "Hey, watch this." I looked it up, and the thumbnail said neo-Nazi Kevin James, and we are about to watch.
One,
what is
please.
it called, Tyson?
This movie's called Becky.
What happened by your fort, Becky?
Search continues for 4 inmates who escaped federal custody this morning. Authorities say the men are armed and extremely dangerous.
Come on, boy, let's go swimming.
Oh, can you wait a sec?
What is she doing here?
You let her walk all over you.
She's 13.
Jeff, this gentleman lost his dog.
Okay, well, why don't you give us your number?
My dog is a Rottweiler. Purebred, or as the Germans call them, Rottweiler Metzgerhund. That's why you never let them mate with other breeds. You get the worst of both.
Okay, I think it's time for you to go.
Stay calm. I'm looking for a key. It has this symbol engraved on it. You seen it? No. Well, that leaves little Becky. Where's Becky?
Wait!
He's gonna hold your dad still while I hurt him.
I'm not gonna let them get away with this.
There once was a little girl.
Becky!
And she was good.
Stop running!
She was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrible.
What was the point of all of this? For a key?
It's worth much more than that.
Becky! You're clearly a special girl!
I don't want to have to hurt you.
But I do want to hurt you real bad.
I don't know about you, but I see the words neo-Nazi Kevin James. I am getting out my card and I am purchasing a ticket.
One, please.
One, please. That's all I need to know. And look, I watched this trailer kind of like because that line did catch me, and I was like, well, fuck, I've got to see this. And so started watching the trailer, and then a funny thing happened. Turns out I really want to see this movie, Nick.
Wow.
I really like the concept. It appears as though is that we finally might have the grown-up Home Alone movie that we've all been waiting for all our lives.
Absolutely.
We seem to Joel McHale as well, who I feel like kind of they tried to make him a movie star for about 3 hot minutes, and then they gave up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Community, but I just feel like John McHale's not. He just doesn't hit it, does he? He can't quite land. I don't know. Maybe stick to TV.
I did a funny thing the other day where I went through and watched trailers for sitcoms that got cancelled within before their first season was over.
What kind of YouTube tunnel did you go fucking down?
Well, it's really interesting because you watch all these the network promos that go for 5 minutes that are like, here's this is going to be the hot new sitcom of the season, and then you realise that it got cancelled after 7 episodes. And I reckon about 4 of them starred Joel McHale. I'm going to be honest, they tried. He tried to get something up and running, and that did not work.
Oh, what a champion, man. Come on, that's awesome.
But this movie,
keep going at it.
Appears to have. So Joel McHale is married to an African-American woman. And it looks like that maybe Becky, his daughter, was from a previous marriage.
Or
maybe...
You got that at the start. Yeah.
She obviously isn't a big fan of the new wife and has a bit of an attitude problem. And it becomes pretty apparent that maybe she's a little bit kind of, she's a troubled kid. She's got some real attitude problems, some behavioural problems, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, add into the mix neo-Nazi Kevin James.
Oh, my God.
Who turns up at their house.
You can't just...
Looking for a key of some description, but then also deciding to take a personal offence against Joel McHale and his African American wife because
that's true.
Of course, he's a neo-Nazi. Of course, he's going to have a problem with that.
With the massive. Now, just to let it sit into everyone's head, for Kevin James to wash away the Paul Blart Mall cop. Role that we all know him for.
Yeah, exactly.
He's shaved his head. He has a very, very big swastika on the back of his head.
It's one of those statement size swastikers. It's like the one in American History X, where it's just like you're making a real statement by having that.
Yeah, it sticks out. You want it on it's almost on the neck. You know what I mean? But yeah, and his beard is that of a massive
lumberjack.
Say woodchuck. Lumberjack. Thank you. Yeah. Woodchuck. Like a massive beard. Like it's huge.
Yeah, it's solid.
And he.
What do you reckon? That beard? Fake beard? I reckon maybe a fake beard.
I don't know. I don't care.
I don't see Kevin James growing out an 18-month beard for a role. I think he's like no. You can just put a fake one on me, surely.
But maybe he's one of those guys. Maybe he's one of those hairy guys that grow.
It grows up in 3 weeks and suddenly
in 3 weeks, and he has a monstrous fucking
beard.
Look,
maybe
Jesus. Yes, he's one of those guys on set who has to shave in the morning and then shave in the afternoon if they're doing a day shoot.
Yeah,
I
don't understand.
He's a poor dude.
What a life.
Yeah. This, however,
sorry throw it in the mix.
To cut you off, keep going. Kevin James,
neo-Nazi Kevin James. He's looking for a key. And whatever this key opens, whatever, we don't know. But he thinks that someone in this mixed race household has the key. Knows where the key is. And so he's got 2 reasons to be shitty at him. 1, because in his eyes they're breaking the laws of nature. And 2, because they have his key. Anyway, it turns out that Becky was not there when he first took them all captive and is hiding in the house. Yeah. And he thinks Becky knows where the key is. And
let's question Becky.
Becky's response is to fucking Home Alone up the joint.
Pull a Macaulay Culkin.
And just fuck shit up. And it looks really great.
Oh my God.
It looks like she's really going to town. And there's a fantastic there's a fantastic little exchange of dialogue where she's holding like a water pistol, which I find out has gasoline in it. She's standing on one side of an open fire, and the guy's like, "All right, careful, Becky. You know you don't want to hurt anybody." And she's like, "No, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I want to hurt you."
Hurt you. Just lights him on fire. Like, this is a very R-rated Home Alone.
Yeah.
This is the Home Alone we've been wanting.
There's boards with nails in them that look like they're going to get a real run. Boards with nails in the side of the head. Fishing wire.
People lose it. And I love how when you cut a trailer and it looks really good, you try not to give too much away, but you can tell like the bad guys are taking a hit. One's lost an eye, the other's got a broken arm, clearly.
Oh yeah, they come out with he's wearing an eye patch at some point, isn't he? Kevin James.
With all blood coming out of the side.
Fuck yeah.
And you're like, oh,
that's where that board with the nail in it. That's where that went. Right in the eye socket.
Comes in. This looks exciting. I am in.
I'll say this. If this
with
movie,
neo-Nazi Kevin James.
If this movie, exactly. That's how I'll always refer to it as the neo-Nazi. What's his name? Kevin James.
Kevin James.
Now, if this movie needs to be at least half as fun as it is to talk about, and it will be good.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm worried about. That we go to sit down to watch this movie, and it turns out to be just really dull and not at all fun.
Do you think it's gonna? No, I think it'll be fun. Do you think it might take itself a little bit too seriously? I don't think it will because it's called Becky. If it was called, They Sometimes Come Back Again or some bullshit like that.
Neo-Nazi Kevin James.
Do you know what I mean? Neo-Nazi Kevin James.
That's all they needed to call it.
If it was, what's a good one? If it was Paul Blart, Heil Hitler, If it was Paul, what's another one?
Grown Ups 3 Mein Kampf. I don't know.
If it was...
He's not in enough movies. Hitch. What can you do with Hitch?
What you can do with Hitch? If it was Hitch, let's gas everyone.
Hitch, a ride to the gas chamber.
Ride to the gas chamber. Good Lord.
Oh, dear me.
Oh,
see, that's what I mean. It's fun to talk about this movie, and I have a fear that it's not going to be fun to watch it. Like, it's just going to be dull and maybe too serious and without any of that kind of excitement. If they embrace it 100%, I'm thinking kind of like Green Room. If they go down the way of Green Room, where it's just like, no, we're going full out, balls to the wall. We're not pulling any punches with this. We're going to really go for it. Then it could be an incredibly good time.
Do you think, though, that because our protagonist is a teenager, they won't go? I don't think they'll go as hard as Green Room, but they'll touch. It'll be. Yeah. I think it'll be like a serious kick-ass. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a little bit more of a serious kick-ass. Not as comedy so much. It'll have comedy elements in there, but it won't be as
So yeah, maybe not as realistic. I get what you're saying.
Exactly.
I think I think I might be more inclined to say that they're going to tone it down if they didn't make some of the choices that they made in the trailer by having him be full Nazi, by making a point of like the mixed relationship, like those kind of things you wouldn't put in a movie you're trying to tone down a little bit with a younger protagonist, I don't think.
Yeah. So yeah,
I feel like somebody's literally just going, hey, let's just make an R-rated Home Alone. Let's do it for real. And
let's do it for real. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
And this is from the director of, I've seen one of his movies.
Yeah.
A movie called Cooties.
Okay.
Now that movie also had the, I guess, the claim to fame of being a movie where kids are doing fucking terrible things, because that's the movie where all the kids in the primary school become zombies. It's the zombie outbreak movie that only affects kids.
I know that. Yeah.
There's actually another one with Lupita Nyong'o that just got released, I think, very recently, called Little Monsters, which I think has a pretty similar plot. Or she's trying to protect her primary school in a zombie outbreak or something. I don't know. But, I didn't like that movie at all. But the one thing that I thought was kind of cool about that movie is that it went pretty full on with the kids. Like, these kids were, like, cutting people up, and the adults were shooting them down and really, like, laying into them. So, yeah, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about this movie. I think it's going to be it could be a bit of fun.
It looks like fun. Chuck and Larry get married at Auschwitz. Sounds like fun.
Oh, dear. Exactly. I don't think... No, I don't want to do any more.
No more. We're done. We're done with that joke. That was good. That was the last one.
I think it's time we moved on, though. Oh, you got something else?
No, that was it.
All right, nice. I think we should move on.
Sounds good.
Feature press?
Feature press.
Let's do it.
And now for our feature presentation.
Devil's Night is upon us again. Throw a little party, start a bunch of fires, make a little profit.
When someone's dead, they can't come back, can they?
That's what I thought. Are you referring to anyone in particular?
You know, my daddy used to say, every man's got a devil. You can't rest till you find him.
Winked at me before he jumped out a fourth-floor window like he had wings.
Is his link between the land of the living and the realm of the dead.
So you killed the crow.
Caw, bang, I'm dead!
Oh gosh, the devil stood and felt how awful goodness is. Feel how awful goodness.
All right, Nicholas.
Oh, Tyson.
So this was so we mentioned it in brief last week that this is a movie that I have kind of mentioned at least 3 or 4 times as an episode for us to do, where I've been like, hey, we can do The Crow, and you've constantly put it off, and which I understand. Like, I'm really hesitant to talk about the movies that I really, really love, like those, those, if it's one of those top 5, top 4. I mean, we both did RoboCop because I think we both could appreciate that's how we feel about that movie, and it didn't have to feel like we had to justify it to each other. You know, not that we don't believe each other, but if it's a movie that I really passionately love, or vice versa, that you also think is great, but maybe don't share that huge personal affinity for. You feel kind of pressured, and so I understand that. But we're here. So how do you feel about it? How do you feel now that you've opened the door to this conversation?
I'm ready to talk.
Well armed?
It was good.
You're well armed?
Well, I'm well armed. I have 3 pages of well armed. It was different watching it this time because whenever I've watched it, it's one of Sam's favorites as well.
Yeah.
But whenever we've watched it, it's always it's a perfect timing. It's a right mood. I watch it maybe once every 2 years.
Yeah, cool.
And I haven't watched it in a while. And it was the first time I was kind of watching it again, full concentrating on it, not pulling my concentration away from anywhere like distractions or anything. So I was looking at, and while you're looking at it, trying to analyze a movie that you like, you're looking for faults as well as things that you actually love. But the reasons, when you love a movie this much, why do you like those things? This is the thing. Like, why do you like the things that you like in a movie that you like this much?
Exactly. It's good. That's what I think people find really hard about, and what I think I find really hard as well about reviewing and things like that, and why I think I'd make a terrible reviewer, is that I can tell you why I don't like something, but I can very rarely tell you why I do like something other than saying I just loved it. Like, and so I think it's easier. It's much harder to talk about the things you love, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like putting the mirror in front of yourself and talking about yourself. When someone says in an interview, "What's your best quality?" You're like, "I don't fucking know."
That's a good point.
I make a mean cup of tea. I don't know.
It's very evident by your love of this movie how good your tea making is.
Exactly. Tyson, was this a movie that you watched when you were a teenager? Did you watch it in the 90s?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. I think this movie's kind of, well, it's notorious for many reasons, but as a teenager, it was kind of that it had like this dangerous quality to it, and it was edgy and cool, and so especially the soundtrack being kind of representative of a lot of the music that I first really got into when I was kind of
drawn to
when I finally stopped listening to whatever my parents were listening to. My music tastes were basically this soundtrack. So knowing that there was a movie out there that was kind of like the like this culmination of all these things that I thought were really cool and edgy meant that you were immediately drawn to it. So I saw this a ton as a teenager.
Yeah, I watched this so much. I think I every time I got 5 weeklies for $5, The Crow was literally in there, and probably every second week.
Oh, it was a good safe bet, wasn't it? It was a good safe fifth pick when you were just like, I'll just get The Crow again.
I'll just get The Crow again. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So this movie was it was a massive impact on me. It opened me up to a lot of. I didn't realize, like you said, when you're a kid, you're watching like Back to the Future and E.T. and Goonies and Stand By Me and things like that. They're very family movies. They're very warm and nice and cuddly and things like that. This is the movie for me that opened me up to the fact that there was darker material in different things. So not only film, but also music and art and comics. I didn't realize that there were dark comics, things like that. So in watching this and realizing, like in the credit sequence comes up, James O'Barr. Is it James O'Barr?
James O'Barr.
Yeah, James O'Barr. He his comic, it comes up and I was like, oh shit, well I have to get that. I have to get it because I love this movie so much. So it'd be great to read the comic because I'm really into comics. And it was it was a massive eye opener. Huge to realize that there was this type of this darker material that I had access to.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, very much kind of
for me
paved the way for me liking much darker things.
Yeah, for me, the similar thing for me was when I remember distinctly the first time my brother, who I have many things to blame for when it comes to my exposure to things that were probably I was too young for, but when my brother showed me, I want to say it was Ninja Scroll when I was like 12, 13, and
amazing,
and understanding that cartoons, for the first time, that cartoons could have nudity, sex, violence in them. And I was watching these things in a cartoon, this medium that felt so safe and so like you never, you were so sure you knew what you were going to see, and then see just people's heads being cut off and like real brutal violence and these crazy like graphic sex scenes, and you're like, how the fuck is this in a cartoon? What is like? Yeah. And so that for me was my kind of experience of that, where I was like, oh, you mean those things can have adult themes as well? That's kind of wild to think about. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this movie, like with any other movie at the time, because I was drawn to the superheroes like Superman, Batman, all that stuff. Watching a 90s action movie, I don't know why or what. I wish I knew why was the reason I picked this up the first time. Like, was it a friend that told me to get it? Did I see it at a friend's house? Did I get it on my own? Did I just read the back and grab it? Or I don't know.
I think we were probably old. We would have been old enough to have known the surroundings, I think. I think it was notorious even at that stage. Like, we were 12, like... So we weren't idiots. Like we if we saw, I think we would have seen posters in cinemas, and we would have seen like that imagery and been like, that looks amazing, and we would have heard the rumors about, oh man, did you hear, like, this is the movie that Brandon Lee, he died making this movie. Oh
yeah,
stuff.
That's probably why. Yeah, that's true.
Like all of that information, and then we would have heard, it would have been like, oh, The Cure's on the soundtrack, Stone Temple Pilots is on the soundtrack. We'd have been like, oh man.
I remember the soundtrack remember when soundtracks used to get ads on television?
Oh yeah,
they would play an ad for an album. You're like, oh fuck, look at that. The album in my head that is stuck there forever is the Tism album, because it would play a song and then just midway through just pause and go Tism and then keep playing the song. Do you remember that ad? Fucking hell, it was such a pain in the ass. It was so, I hated it, but it is drilled in my head. That ad.
Tism Australia. Anyway, are they an Australian band?
They're an Australian band, yeah.
For all
actually,
overseas listeners, look up Tism.
Yeah.
They were
Tism.
wild.
Look up Tism. Actually, Sam's one of her lecturers at uni was a member of Tism.
No way.
Yeah.
TISM, isn't it? TISM.
TISM.
Yeah.
Yep, Tism.
Check them out, people. You won't regret it.
So when the album for the soundtrack got put on the TV, I was like, oh shit, this is a big deal. I kind of have to find out what this movie is.
Yeah.
Because they would show clips of the movie, and that's because it was a mini trailer. Because how else would you find trailers? We didn't have the internet back then. The only way that we watch trailers is the previews before the movie that we just hired, and we would watch it and tell everyone to shut the fuck up while we watch the previews.
Yeah.
Don't fast forward them. We have to watch them.
I'm pretty sure I didn't see this at the cinema, though. Did you see this at the cinema?
No, I wish.
So I think even a big part of it would have been the coming attractions on the other VHSs that we were renting. I think we would have also seen the trailer for this and just been like,
the trailer for this.
Because that's a pretty memorable trailer. I've seen that quite a few times, that trailer.
Yeah, that's true. It's the fall. I can even remember the shots. It's the him jumping off the building and falling and all that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where to start now. Shall we start with Brandon Lee? Let's start with Brandon Lee.
Why not? I mean,
why not? Let's start with it.
It's such a tragedy, really. Like,
yeah, it's a bit full on. Yeah,
I feel really. It feels really kind of gross watching it, I guess, now as well, because you're kind of like, oh man.
Really?
Like, gross is the wrong word, but I feel different watching this than I do like watching like The Dark Knight or something with Heath Ledger, because you know that it was directly. Like you don't see the scene, you don't see the scene that did it because they've cut that out.
No.
But
but you see the actor.
Yeah, the actor's there. It's directly responsible for the death of this guy. I assume it'd be kind of like, I don't want to watch. Well, ever since I can consciously make the choice, because I think I saw it when I was a kid, but I don't feel like I want to watch the Twilight Zone movie either.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want
that scene's cut out, but I know what
you know what I mean. You just
don't
want to. You don't want to associate. You don't want to kind of. I don't know. Experience.
You don't want to put yourself in those.
Maybe
well,
not.
It's hard, especially for those who are coming in knowing that and not knowing anything else, because Brandon was very, very proud of this movie. He kind of sorted out. He sought the comic out, found out they were making a movie of it, and definitely wanted to be a part of it. He was very proud of wanting to be a part of this, and so in all the interviews with James O'Bannon, he talks about O'Barr. Sorry, he talks about how talking with Brandon, he was very proud of it and didn't shy away, because James felt tremendous guilt, as you would. He felt that it was his fault that this movie got made, and in so killing the son of Bruce Lee. It was huge, and he's still full on. The in other interviews. So for people who don't know what we're talking about, Tys, just a quick sum up of what happened.
Yeah.
So on set, there's in the movie, Brandon Lee's character gets shot and killed as he's walking into his house, while the attackers are attacking his fiancée. He gets shot and then thrown out of the window. Now, the shot that they needed was for the actor to point the gun at Brandon, for him to see the gun go off, and for Brandon to tipple over and collapse, basically. Now, what happened is that no one cleaned the guns from the shoot the night before, and the blank that was in the gun was still in there. They reloaded it already with powder, so it looked like it was shooting with a loud bang, and that came off and hit Brandon in the stomach, and he toppled over and ended up dying from that. I know in interviews with he's only done like one or two. The actor that pulled the trigger, he had nightmares for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he went back to acting eventually. I think
did.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he was in Seven.
Richard Massey, is that? He's one of those guys that like you would recognize him. He's not super recognizable in this because he is playing such an absolute scumbag. But yeah, he's one of those guys who's just his face pops up and you're like, oh yeah, of course. I can't remember now how to say his name. It's not Massey, is it? What is it?
I think it's Massey. I say it Massey. You say Massey?
Yeah, I guess so.
I know him from Seven as well. He's in Seven.
Yeah, I guess Michael Massey, not Richard Massey.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the lighter side, I love Brandon Lee's performance in this. I think he's done so well. It's so you can tell that he's done his homework. Does that make sense? So that he's deep into the character. It's not something light. He's not there for a paycheck. He's not there to make himself big or have himself in lights. No. He believes in the work and he is doing it. Like,
yeah, but I also don't think he was under. I think he knew just how influential a part like this could be for his career. I think he's a very smart. You could he obviously thought that this, he sought this out. He had a great love for it, but he knew just how much of a star-making role it could be. And in reality, it is his most famous role, and I don't think that's just because he died. Yeah. I think he did do what he wanted to do with it, and I think had he lived past it, it would be a legitimate star-making role. He would have come out of this just huge, absolutely huge.
Massive, yeah.
Because you think about the movies that he did beforehand. Are fine, I actually quite enjoy everything that I've seen with him in it. I think Showdown Little Tokyo is a lot of fun. I think Rapid Fire is a lot of fun. I haven't seen the one he did Made in Hong Kong, or it's like a legit kung fu movie.
Legacy of Rage?
Yeah,
Legacy of Rage?
Something like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
No, but that's got Bolo Yong in it, I found out the other day.
It does, yeah.
Our mate, Chun-Li.
Chun-Li.
Excuse me.
But in looking from him working his way from being Eric Draven after coming out of the grave, from Eric Draven, in those flashbacks with Shelley, from that to extracting his vengeance and all of that stuff, it's all believable. Like, there's no one scene or one shot or one line that he gives that I'm like, oh, could have done that better. It's not second guessing or anything like that. Like, it's all fair. Believable.
I think, it's he does really well because there's that, he could be it could appear as kind of try-hard-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best way to put it, but, everything feels convincing. I'm convinced by his power, by his authority. It doesn't feel like he's having to put it on as an actor. Like he's, and he's the big kind of dramatic strut and the dangly hair, and he's looking over his brow like, yeah, I'm the fucking Crow. Like, it's not, you don't have to do any of that. He just kind of holds it and carries it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is, it's a lot harder to do than it sounds. I think it's why a lot of these kind of movies where people are like badass heroes end up just coming across as kind of cheesy, and you're just like, oh, yeah.
Exactly. There's no cheese. Exactly.
There's no cheese. Well, there's very little kind of sense of humor at all in this movie. I think it's there's a little bit with Albrecht, I suppose, as a who occasionally lightens the mood, but yeah, this movie is seriously devoid of a sense of humor at all. Which
it takes itself very seriously.
Yeah. Having said that,
it works to some extent.
Yeah,
and like you said, Albrecht.
Sorry, you go, man. I keep interrupting.
No. You go.
No, because I was going to move on. So if you want something with Albrecht,
okay. The only other question that I wanted to say with Brandon Lee was, I was trying to think, putting another actor in that role. I don't think this movie would have worked.
What do you think?
I know saying that sounds weird.
What do you think of the Jason Momoa potential casting? Do you like it?
I didn't. Until I read or started reading what Momoa came out and said, because he's a massive fan, and he's talked to James O'Barr and things like that, and knows that he has to slim the fuck way down to play Eric Draven. Even though I love the shots when Brandon comes out of the grave and is walking, he has a fucking V back, like he is built, man.
Yeah.
And he makes himself look small. That's the thing. He makes himself look small. He's actually really quite built.
He's like that kind of skinny fit that like
Bruce was.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Like what Bruce was.
Yeah.
I always think of that guy. The guy in Bloodsport, the real like 1% body fat guy who wears the gold, the gold jump pants. Like
he has no fat on him,
like zero. And so like he's obviously small framed, and he's wearing an extra small black skin tight tee. But he's built to fucking brick shit house.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Momoa knows, but that that's actually been shelved. So I followed Momoa for quite a while on socials, and he came out and said that that the Crow has been shelved and is no longer going to happen. It was going to be I keep always forget Bradley Cooper. If you look up the Crow Bradley Cooper,
I've actually seen some stuff.
Sketchings and stuff like that.
No, that one I don't agree at all. I don't like that casting one bit.
You don't like that?
No, I think
But that's the thing.
He actually looks a little bit more like the comic, though. His facial features are a bit more similar to the guy from the comic. But I just think that's such a wrong choice.
No, I couldn't do it. Momoa, maybe. I'm not sure. It'd be a very different Crow. I know that Nick Cave, the poet and singer-songwriter, has written treatment for the Crow.
Cool.
Like he's written his script, it was his version.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a very different, dark Crow. So he knew what it was like.
As opposed to this one, which is all sunshine and rainbows
happy and full of unicorns and Kevin James. But yeah. Yeah,
I thought you were about to say Nick Cave, because Nick Cave would have been a fucking wicked Crow in 1975.
Nick Cave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon he would have done a killer job back in the early Bad Seeds days?
Bad Seeds days? Yeah, he would have been badass. He's a bit long, though. Nick Cave's really long, isn't he?
Yeah, true.
He looks long. Yeah. So funny.
Long.
So funny. He does. He looks long.
Yeah, I get what you mean. He kind of looks like he's been stretched out a bit. Yeah. It's probably because all his suits that he wears are just that little bit too small for him. I think he might have been like the original skinny suit man.
Yeah, 100%. One of the I go on multiple things. I've got so much to talk about. One of the big things that sticks out, stuck out a lot in this watch, was the city itself. I love the fact that I love a movie that the city is a very big part of the film. For me, it's almost a character in itself, like Gotham City or whatever you want to put it. Sin City is a good one, Basin City, but we never see daylight throughout this movie. Maybe twice, I think we see it, but it's really quick. It's like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. I love that the city's it's not a fictional city, so you're not looking at New York. You're looking at it's clearly a comic book world. Like everything that's happening is kind of in a bubble, if anything.
It is. So it is a fictional world. Wait.
It is. It is a fictional world. Yeah. I love the fact that in 95% of the time in this movie, it's always raining. Now, I know that everyone's like, oh yeah, making it cool with the rain and stuff like that, and it's all badass. But this is where, this movie, coupled with the fact that the Cure wrote the song "Burn" for this, we'll get to that later. But this was a big kind of the springboard for the goth movement that happened in the 90s that came off. Everyone or a lot of my gothic friends or dressed up as goth love this movie. But yeah, the amount of rain in this movie gave it like an atmospheric feel. So it was very industrial. You can look at it throughout the houses, all through. My favorite is Fun Boy's flat when he goes in, and the shots of that bathroom and
all
from the ceiling and everything's moldy and fucked. The pipes are coming out of everywhere.
Yeah.
The bar that Darla works at, you don't get big shots of it, but when they're doing shots and swallowing bullets with shots, you can see some of it because it's a really big bar, but it's really quite. It's very industrial, very scary, and dirty as fuck. You wouldn't want to stick around in that bar a lot.
Yeah, I think the production design generally is really quite amazing. A lot of it's done with miniatures, obviously, and those shots are still really impressive now. Even though it's the way I always feel about miniatures. It's I can see they're miniatures, but it doesn't mean they don't look fucking great.
Exactly.
At least when you look at bad CGI, it's it's bad CGI and it also looks kind of trashy. Whereas miniature work that becomes obvious, you're just hey, but it's still some dude made that with with their hands.
Exactly. Whereas if you're looking at The Mummy Returns, you're that's just an old computer.
It's literally
that's fucking boring.
Literally a PC from 1998 vomited
exactly.
that up.
Running Windows 95.
Yeah,
fuck
exactly.
off, you know. Whereas this, you're getting a lot of I love the lot of when something is still in the front of the shot and they're moving the background really quick.
Yeah.
Loving those. A lot of matte paintings, which we always love, Tys. But
they even managed to do a car chase through miniature sets. Like that was it's very impressive.
That's intense. It's intense.
I really like it.
But yeah, art direction, man. It's off the scale of this thing.
Yeah, the rain stuff, and I think it's I don't think it's exactly hiding its intentions, this movie, but it's it's obviously a big old kind of grief metaphor thing. And I think the rain just basically plays into a big portion of that, is that they're just trying the rain and the nighttime and all that kind of stuff. They're just trying to do it's just compounding all those things, like those symbolic
emotions
kind
of grief.
Those symbolic representations of grief. So that it kind of gives a little bit more meaning to when they talk about it, not raining all the time and all that kind of stuff. It's it's obviously while he's alive and he's got this kind of his kind of way of getting through all that and dealing with it all. So it's obviously going to rain the whole time he's there. Does it stop raining a little bit when he dies at the end?
A little.
I think it kind of does, maybe.
Not a lot though. Not a lot. Yeah. This it does tie into a lot of grieving because The Crow was written by James O'Barr because he lost his wife.
Right.
And this is how he grieved through writing The Crow.
And look, it's a really lovely kind of exploration of that. Like, and I mean that it sounds kind of disingenuous to say that, but I do think this movie is quite lovely in points. Like, even though the violence is intense and hideous, and it's all people are dancing around, swallowing bullets, but the heart of the movie is, I think, what the fact that they still managed to pull that off and that they sell that pretty well through all that other nonsense. I think, and I don't mean nonsense but the bad guy in this sniffs the fumes of an eyeball. Like, this movie is ridiculous, like at points, and the fact that it still has a really strong emotional core, I think, is really quite amazing. And it's probably why we still think about it now and still crack it out.
Yeah, I love that bad guy, man. Michael Wincott, the most unused actor ever to have existed. Maybe he works a lot. I just never see him. I love him so much.
He's really, really great. He's never. Well, look, I mean, he's probably made a bunch of garbage that we just haven't seen.
He probably has. Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Like, the guy's he's got to work. I'm sure he was. They gave him a run as the lead in like a bunch of straight to DVD action movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
But in these kind of circumstances, obviously we're very fond of when he does the real skeezy villains, like
I think he's this. Yes, but I think he's like in this. It's another layer. We're getting like the tip of the iceberg of kind of, what is his name in this? It's
Top Dollar.
It's Top Dollar. Yeah. And everything you see with Top Dollar that he does before he hears about Eric, like the inhaling of the eyeball, his relationship with his sister, the fact that he's
his sister.
Like, he's, all of that stuff. He's so layered in, and it's so bizarre where he's not really an over the top villain, but he's got more to him than just the dime store boss.
Yeah, look,
he's
not. You're right.
Do you know what I mean?
He never does anything that's ridiculously like campy over the top. I think the closest he comes to it is that speech about let's light them all up whatever he said.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you're right. He's not he's not chewing the scenery or anything. He's just kind of there being a big old creepo. But he's very intimidating, and he has a really like. I remember thinking when I was younger watching this that these were like these bad guys were real bad. Like, there was like, they weren't just like villains; they were bad to the core. Like, there was really like something wrong with them. They were that evil, and I remember that as a kid you don't really understand that concept. But these were some of the earliest villains where I was just I was kind of becoming aware of the fact that people were just void of any humanity can exist.
and it was very adult. I remember I'll go through because I want to go through each of the T-Birds gang, but I remember when you're watching this at the start, you realize what's happened because there's no that was a big note that I wrote, which was fucking awesome. I love that there's no exposition character in this. No one explains his power. No one explains why or where it comes from. You get a little poem from Sarah at the start, and that's it.
Yeah,
you can make from that poem though whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Like, and we as an audience are putting it together because it's not a dumb movie. You know, it treats its audience as a smart audience, which is always going to win me over.
Well, but it's also trying to it's making sure that it's telling us as like the audience that hey, it's not important. Like that's
exactly
like it's we don't need to know because it's not important to what the themes of the film are. You know, it's not a superhero origin movie where that stuff is important and plays a central role to it. It's kind of. And I actually had a similar note that I love how he doesn't say anything, or what does he say? Like 2 words. I think he just says Gabriel talks to the cat. I think that's the only thing he actually says before he becomes the Crow. We barely even see his face, and that was a mixture of obviously having to use a stunt double anyway, and so which I think I think actually works to the benefit of the film because
it does,
because keeping him hidden and that kind of like just getting little glimpses of him, and it becomes this real, like, we find out everything we need to know about him just through his physicality and through his reactions to his memories, and I think that's really strong that we don't see his face like, you know, writhing in pain and crying and all that kind of stuff. We don't see his face until it's got the makeup on, and I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You hit the nail on the head. Like it's one of my favorite moments when he finally when he punches the mirror and starts putting on the makeup and slides into the all the costume and everything like that. All of that isn't Brandon
Lee. The Cure
kicks in. The Cure kicks in, exactly. So Burn kicks in, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time. But yeah, all of that isn't Brandon, and it kills me to know that. It just kills me to know that that's not him.
But it's honestly, it's one of the, like, in a movie full of great sequences, it's probably my favorite. I think it really is so well put together.
And how good, we see in a lot of movies scenes where characters flash back to an occurrence that's happened and they're reacting to it in real time while they're flashing back.
Yeah.
Very rarely do they pull it off as well as they do in this movie.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like every time I see a character kind of react to flashbacks, it's always very forced. It doesn't feel like how you would react. Whereas, I don't know, maybe this is different because he did just crawl out of a grave.
No, I know what you're saying.
Maybe he's feeling a little bit, more supernatural. Maybe he is feeling those things,
I think, it's also, I think it's in the editing of the flashbacks themselves. I think those POV shots, the hyper stylized lighting, the real kind of the flash editing of it, where it's just shot to shot, and that I think it creates a really a really nice representation of traumatic memories and how they're obviously, we don't see them like a movie. We see them in really strange, erratic kind of jolts of information in our brain. And I think they really did that well and expressed that really well. And the way they'd have like sound effects and lighting cues and things that he would react to physically in the present. Yeah. And I think that was really nicely handled. I think it's a very, very excellent scene.
But in watching all that, like coming through, like that happens in the first 15 minutes, all of that stuff, and he's already the Crow by the first 15, right?
Yeah.
So while we're in that, we get to the point where we are introduced to T-Boy's gang, and Tintin is the first to buy it, right? So I always felt that Tintin's him dying was too quick. He didn't get a chance to. You want to see Eric kind of tell him why he's doing it and make him realize and things like that. But now that I watch it, like in the past 2-3 watches, it needs to happen because the movie needs to move forward quickly so that we can jump past and get to the point where we're having because we've got 4 of them to get through, or 5 of them realistically, 4 of them to get through. We need to push it forward in order to get the really meaty ones out of it. So that's why the Tintin one was always quick, but the Fun Boy one was the one where I, as a kid, or I, as a teenager, even now, find it incredibly scary, and that top view of the bathroom with no sound, with the bizarre red lighting and echoes of Shelley's crying in the background while he's pulling him into the bath.
Yeah, right.
That is probably one of the most adult moments of this movie, and it just scares the fucking, like, vengeance or revenge or whatever you want to call it. Extracting after a loved one has died or whatever, we always think, our mind plays fantasies, and hell yeah, if someone touched my son, I'd fucking pull their arms off or back my car slowly over them. But this is like, it pulls it into the reality of no, if you're going to do it, then this is what you're looking at. You're looking at a quiet room where it's almost blood-curdling scary. And yeah, it's very, very adult. I'm a big fan of that fucking scene.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I see. I think that's definitely what they're trying to achieve, is that the reality of it, and the making sure that it's really front and center, just how brutal it has to be. The movie I feel like this movie actually shares a lot of DNA with is Mandy. Do you remember? Did you end up watching Mandy?
Mandy with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's
funny because it was while I was watching, I was kind of like, yeah, this is I really see similar strengths through, like, strains of thought through that. And that's a movie that also does that similar thing, where it's kind of like makes you really confront the reality of that kind of revenge, and how much you've really got to, I mean, it's kind of a cliche, but it's like, you got to give up your own humanity to do it. But I think you're right. Scenes like that kind of do that. I'm not sure I feel that as intently, though. I think there's not really parts in this movie where I feel like it's. I don't feel like this movie asks as strong questions about the morality of vengeance as.
Oh no, I don't think so either.
That maybe that's what you're suggesting there. I think it loves it a bit, like
100%.
Yeah, which I'm down with. That's fine. Those questions are there, but I think the movie is less concerned with showing them as it is, like doing some badass,
reveling in them, reveling in them.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. I just love it because it pushes it to the point where it's an adult movie. It's not yes, it's from a comic book, but this isn't a Marvel movie at all by any means.
Oh no, it's going full out, and but I think it sets that up pretty early as well. I mean, it doesn't pull any punches with the death of Shelley. We know exactly what happens to her, and it's awful. Even just like with the scumminess of the pawn shop guy, like that kind of just that dirty kind of like everybody's a piece of shit, except for like 3 people. The hot dog seller,
100%.
Sarah and Albrecht.
One cop, and Sarah. Yeah,
and the guy that sells.
Oh no, two cops. The female cop.
Oh yeah, she's good. She's good. The detective's a piece of shit though.
Yeah, detective's a dick. So then we go into T-Bird. T-Bird's. I love his death. I think his death is so satisfying because you literally it's him tying him to a car and just lighting the car on fire and having it fly off and just explode. It's probably one of the so satisfying moments of the movie. And then we get to Skank, and Skank, it's probably in this watch that I realized that Skank isn't actually all there. I think that
no, not at all,
kind of knows what's happening, maybe, but doesn't really.
Yeah,
and that's why
Skank is.
And that's why.
Skank's
that's
a
why
weird
at the end, and that's why at the end when he says Skank's dead, he's like, yeah, Skank is dead, and just kills him. He doesn't really give a shit.
No, I always felt like he never really cared about Skank either way. It was just like it was just part of what he had to do. It was like a formality. Exactly. It's like, just give him to me. I've got to do this. Yeah, which is I find the order of it kind of interesting. Yeah, because I love it. I agree with Tintin first, but I think T-Bird probably should have hung around till later. And maybe because it's just I really like, what's his name? David Kelly. What's his name?
David Kelly. Yeah, yeah.
That's not his name.
Was it Michael Kelly? No, that's I know who that is.
From the Warriors. God.
Warriors.
David Patrick Kelly.
David Patrick Kelly. Yeah.
I knew I'd get there eventually.
Well done.
I just love him, so maybe I wanted him to hang around longer in the movie.
No, I like the order. I like that it's odd. I like that T-Bird isn't last because he's one of the. It's not a traditional get the bad guy last sort of thing. Because T-Bird is the leader of his own crew. Leave Skank to last because who gives a shit about Skank, to be honest?
Yeah, true.
It's kind of all over the shop.
And it is kind of... I was reading something in the trivia which I found really interesting, which was how Top Dollar isn't really a big heavy in the comic. He's just another one of the crew. And while they were trying to obviously Hollywood it all up, they needed a real antagonist. And they had another character in there that would have explained a bit more something, someone else who had been resurrected by a crow before.
Yeah.
And they were saying how that whole thing at the end there where they figure out the crow is the source of his power and shoot it wasn't really what they wanted to do at all. They were going to explain, they were going to have it that the reason why he becomes immortal is because he's no longer trying to avenge Shelley. So the crow only grants him powers against those that wronged him and Shelley, whereas Top Dollar actually had nothing physically to do with it. So when he goes after him, he's no longer immortal.
His powers are gone. Yeah. Exactly.
Which I found really interesting, and I think maybe better movie. I'm just putting it out.
Better movie, 100%. Well, the comic does go into that. So when I wrote it down, didn't I? Did I read it down? Yeah. So in the comic, in between the kills, he just sits around. It's very dark and it's very depressing. The character of Eric in the comics is just sitting around, basically bawling his eyes out the whole time because he doesn't have Shelley, and burning photos. And we get a little bit of that. We get the smallest bit of that in the movie. Yeah. And he also cuts himself. So he does a lot of self-harm. Now, he can self-harm, and it does actually hurt him because he is hurting himself.
Right.
So, and what he has to do is he wraps black tape around him. Now, they filmed that for this, and if you watch throughout the movie, Brandon eventually has black tape around his hands and wrists. Yeah. So they filmed that and kept it, obviously, can't go back and shoot. So they kept it in with taking out obviously the self-harm scene. So he's still got that in there. So there are a lot of nice little comic elements that maybe a little bit more time, a little bit more budget, would have been awesome.
I think it's pretty clever what they ended up doing in the long run into making it more of a, because I haven't read the comic, but what I was reading about it was saying that it's much more interested in disposing of the characters in very just unexceptional ways. It's just straightforward. Here's a gun, you're dead, you're a piece of shit.
Here's a gun, bang.
Whereas, and the comic's far more interested in watching him experience the grief and experience the depression around that. And so for the movie to come along and say, oh, hey, let's turn it into a fucking action movie. Let's get him to do a guitar solo on a rooftop. It's actually probably a clever choice because I don't think that movie where it's just shoot a guy, cry in a corner is going to be as successful.
That's not getting anyone in the seats. No, that's fucking boring. The Cure isn't writing a fucking song for that one. No. I do agree with what you said before. I think they needed Albrecht and Sarah. We'll get to it later, but Albrecht especially because he makes the film lighter, and he actually makes Eric likable, I think, because otherwise we do get a lot of flashbacks, and Eric, we see a lot of him in those flashbacks, but apart from that, we're not getting a lot of him, sort of. So he does make it, I think, Albrecht, especially because it's Eddie Hudson, Ghostbuster himself. you don't really need those scenes, but you kind of do need those scenes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Sort of thing.
You know, well, because you need, it's the same thing. You can't have him just be crying and moping around the whole time because it's not a character that we are going to get behind.
Exactly.
And so we need to see him be slightly personable. And it takes him time and things like that. But by the end of the movie, he's kind of, he's cracking wise. He's kind of, he's just, he's back to what you would see him as a normal human being. Like,
exactly.
And not just this driven spirit. And I think that's important. Like, otherwise, we've got nothing to anchor to. So, it's a good choice. There's a lot of really clever choices in the adaptation of this, I think. Like, it's just they're very different, very different mediums. And obviously, in order to make one work, they've made some really good choices.
Exactly. Yeah. Same with Sarah. I'm a big fan of the Sarah character. I love her. When I first used to watch this as a teenager, I always wanted to be her friend. I wanted to be her friend so bad. I thought she was so cool. The fact that she would skateboard in the middle of the night and it was wet, like pouring with rain.
Yeah,
I thought she was
badass.
the coolest. I thought she was so cool.
She's got a wicked undercut too.
Yeah, so good. But apart from that, it's just a love fest from then on in. From the roof running to playing the guitar on the fucking roof to the trench coat to all of that shit.
I do like. I mean, those are the kind of the iconic images that we have. Like when you think about it in the context of the movie, him kind of smashing the guitar, I guess is kind of it's representative, I guess, of him kind of leaving more of him behind and having to move past who he was.
Yeah,
but when you're watching it, it's kind of just like, that was badass, man. Like you got this blood red sky, and he's just shredding away, and then just fucking smashes it up. Like that's the stuff we remember. Like they're the images we remember.
Exactly.
Him, laughing in the garbage dump. That shot of his face and he's laughing, and 100%. the bit where the bullet wound heals up and all that kind of stuff. Like those are the iconic images, and they're that not all of them seem to really have a great purpose, but they add to the atmosphere of it all really well.
Exactly. So good. I love how also what was Predator? Predator was before this year, 87. The Crow's vision, how it shows Eric where he needs to go, who he needs to get, and all of that stuff. Same as the Predator when we get Predator vision.
Oh, yeah.
We're not told, what it is. We have to be smart enough to understand what's happening.
No.
So, I'm a big fan of that as well.
I like there's no mess or, there's no fuss with the Crow. There's no, flashing eyeballs or bolts of lightning when the Crow is around. The Crow just flies around, lands on a tombstone, and he pushes out through the ground. It's not, there's no, they don't try and make it seem like, it's
supernatural
a spooky
or magic
crow.
Powers.
It's it just kind of
it's a ghost crow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens. It's all very matter of fact with the Crow, and I like that. I really like that.
So true.
And the POV is pretty. It's a standard POV shot. They've just chucked on the fisheye lens and done some dollying around and stuff, and but
it works so
cool.
well.
Yeah, I think it works really well, and it's just refreshing to see that they're not trying to overly mystify that creature. It's 100%. It's just there, and it's just kind of it's a constant kind of presence.
Not making it supernatural, overly supernatural. It's supernatural enough. Just leave it.
Yeah, exactly. Any more than it is. Yeah. And they never really even I really dug how it's just it just kind of happens. The first, you're just watching the movie and it just all of a sudden he's crawling out of the grave. It's just it's very matter of fact. It just kind of it's there, and you're just in that experience straight away, without there being any kind of great even the atmosphere of the film itself doesn't really with Top Dollar and Kika, his sister, is that his sister played by Ling. What's
Micah,
thank you,
Micah.
They kind of almost have more to do with the occult. Like you can see that their
100%.
kind of fascination is like they believe in mysticism and all that kind of stuff with all the eyeball sniffing and the like sacramental daggers and stuff and like
dead lady in the bed. And stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's more their bag, whereas he just kind of is just there. He's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is actually how it works. It's not about not about praising like worshipping occult like demons or anything. It's just sometimes it just happens.
The actress that plays Shelley, I don't know why we haven't seen her. She is stunning.
Yeah,
old school 90s stunning.
Yeah,
like I don't know why we haven't seen her. She hasn't done much, but yeah.
And you know, and like it's always such a hard gig to be like just be the victim, like just act as the victim. Like it's
absolutely
it can never be fun. Like it always must be really like confronting. I'd never like, and she does a killer job. Like it's no pun intended.
Absolutely.
What else I have?
What else you got?
So a couple of things. Like I feel like the some of the 90s-ness of it. While I'm 100% comfortable with it, and I will always just go, yeah, man, it's the 90s. I feel like and what I was saying before about those bad guys, how I was like, they're really, really bad. They're bad to the point of almost parody now. Like I think that
swallowing bullets is a parody now.
Yeah, like the idea that they sit around a table and doing shots, but to make the shots more badass, they also swallow a bullet. And then get up in each other's faces and like pull guns on each other and then scream. What do they light it up? Light it up? Is that what they say?
Light it up.
Like,
fire it up. Sorry.
Fire it up.
Fire it up. Fire it. Yeah.
It's it works for the aesthetic of the movie, but at the moment at this time, and even like sitting there with Top Dollar and he's got the full like those fucking. You only ever see these plates when people have a whole bunch of cocaine on them. That's the only way those plates ever are used in movies. But he's sitting there at his grand table with one of that silverware with just a mountain of coke on it and
massive amount of coke,
dropping the eyeball in the fucking Bunsen burner, all that stuff. You're just kind of like,
inhaling the smoke, just blowing it out like a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you guys be any badder? Like, I just don't think. I don't think they couldn't have done anything else to make that. And yet, they're kind of just. Like, I understand that it's, we're obviously in this kind of alternate reality where, but there's no way that cops and those kind of people would coexist. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be, it'd have to be one or the other. There wouldn't be a police officer left in the town if these guys were as bad as they
a town, exactly. It'd be a town run by those type of people. Absolutely. And that's what you feel throughout this movie. Like, there's no real safe place. White picket fences don't exist in this world. Like that's why you barely you don't see daylight. The only time you see daylight is when Sarah's mum Darla wants to make breakfast for her daughter for the first time in ages.
Oh, yep, you're right. I was trying to think of the daylight moments, and you're right. That's one.
Yeah, she's trying to do a good thing because she's just gotten woken up by someone squeezing the heroin out of her fucking arm.
Yeah,
like that is, oh my God.
That shot's always it's so gross.
Yeah, very adult. But yeah, those moments like that, they don't exist in this world. Like, it's so dark and so messed up.
Well, it kind of even like Shelley and Eric wouldn't exist in this world either. Like,
no,
when you see them, like they're such a wholesome, wonderful couple, and you're just like, fucking hell, man! Like, people are starting fires like left, right, and center around you. There's
exactly.
There's the world's biggest criminal underground that meets at this grand table at the top floor of a fucking industrial goth nightclub. There's no way
what's the club called again? The club is called something. It's called Thrash.
Yeah, of course
That's what it's called.
Thrash.
Yeah. Thrash. I was like, yeah, nice.
And
so
it's almost too polar opposite. It creates kind of this. I almost want to believe that his memories are kind of unreliable in that their relationship was like their life before that wasn't. When he has those nice memories of
really?
her, I kind of feel like that maybe he's not maybe cherry picking, but also he's kind of he's glamorized it a little bit in his own eyes because in this reality, it just doesn't make sense for that kind of goodness to
but
exist.
That's why it's so perfect. Yeah, but that's why it's so perfect. That's why The Crow brought him back, because they were the perfect, the beautiful couple in this just dark, twisted, fucked up world.
But that exact sentence is the kind of thing that I think maybe if I wanted to pick something that doesn't hold up as well anymore, it's that kind of feeling, that whole, it's that cliche of man, everything's so fucking, this world's fucked and everything's so gritty and gross and which it's fine, it totally works, but that's the stuff now that I look back on think I don't enjoy as much in this movie anymore, where it's like it's the shots that are there purely to show how fucked everything is, and it's just kind of we get it. It's all right. You've kind of gone past the point of believability now. You're well and truly into a place that can't exist, and so I kind of end up a little bit separated from that. I used to think that they were really threatening and really I used to really get scared by them, and now I kind of think they're almost a parody of themselves, the T-Bird gang and all that kind of stuff. So
100%.
So for me they're great as foes for Eric Draven, but they're the least interesting thing to me in the movie, I think.
Right.
I'm more interested in seeing how he disposes of them than spending time with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. I do like that they do spend a little bit of time with them, because it gives the kills weight rather than just offing these random dudes who we see in one flashback just doing awful things to this woman.
Yeah.
And
I mean that pretty much covers it.
It gives them weight. Yeah,
even if that was the only bad thing they've done, they deserved everything they got.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, I get what you're saying, and I do I don't necessarily disagree entirely, but that's the stuff that kind of now I'm just like, okay, we can get past this.
Yep.
I like when I like how they all interact with Top Dollar. I like that stuff. I like the pawn shop guy just getting stabbed in the neck, fucking
how
brutally. And I love random Tony Todd, and I didn't even realize it was Tony Todd. I honestly, until this watch, I was like, holy shit, that's Tony Todd. No idea.
Yeah.
Because he's not even using his voice. It's not his regular voice.
No, he's putting a voice on. Yeah,
it's kind of higher pitched and more like he's lost all that bottom end resonance that he has. Very interesting, and he's he's wearing a.
It's very soft spoken, very sweet, almost, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'll have the janitor clean up. I do like, and that's why I mentioned it before with Michael Wincott's character. I just because we've seen this so much and we know T-Bird's gang inside and out. We know what they've done. We want to know more about Top Dollar and his world. Like, I think if they were, which they did, I never watched it because, God, why would I? The TV series that they made about the Crow.
Oh, with Mark Dacascos.
They having it focus on Top Dollar rather than the Eric Draven character or whoever, the Crow brings back, having Top Dollar be that vocal focus point and seeing his underworld and seeing everything that he's up to.
Yeah,
I'd be so interested in watching that. That's what I want to see when I watch this movie. I like the Top Dollar scenes because I'm like, what do you get up to, you weird fucking Nicolas Cage bastard?
It is a bit of it. Yeah, you could see Nick Cage playing that role, couldn't you? Look, and he's definitely the most interesting, and whether it's a combination of they've chosen the right character from the comic to expand, or if it's just Michael Wincott's casting and he's just that's just kind of worked out for the better for everybody. But he is probably he's the most interesting for sure.
Exactly.
But I think that actually has a lot to do with the fact, like we were saying before, he kind of is pretty soft spoken. He's pretty just lets stuff happen around him. He's, he commands authority, but not in a showy way. He just gets it done and kills dudes, kills them straight up.
Straight up.
How's the dude in that shootout that looks like he's from Demolition Man? He's wearing like he's got the aviators on and that funny hat.
Yeah, I saw that. What the hell?
I liked that dude.
God, that was funny. You know what I also love in that massive shootout scene? The sound of Eric's gun is so 90s.
Oh yeah.
That it just doesn't. There's no reality base to it. There's no shell coming out of a clip. It's literally just, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, mowing down dudes.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That's a great scene. I forgot how that's really well put together. Yeah, I really enjoy it for a. We haven't really talked about Alex Proyas at all, but first time director, he's smashed it out with this.
Dude,
really, really great.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say I really like Dark City, and I probably, I'd probably put Dark City over The Crow as far as my favorite Proyas. But apart from that, I've not been a huge fan of anything else he's done, to be honest.
No, because he hasn't, for some reason, and I was right up until, man, iRobot was good. I remember watching Garage Days. Remember Garage Days?
Yeah, Garage Days.
How good is Garage Days?
Kick Gurry. Is that his name?
Gurry? Kick Gurry. What a stupid name.
Yeah, he's got an awful name. Is it Kick?
Name. Yeah, it's Kick. Kick Gurry. What the fuck?
Bless his heart.
Garage Days is an Australian movie that we grew up with.
Yeah.
But it would have been. Do you think it would have been a tough gig for him because he would have felt the brunt of the death of Brandon on his shoulders as well.
Absolutely.
Getting work after that. Jesus Christ. But the movie he did after The Crow was Dark City.
Yeah, and look, Dark City was kind of... overshadowed by the Matrix. And it's a bummer because I think, The Matrix is such a great sci-fi action movie, but I think Dark City asks some of the questions that the Matrix thinks it's asking in a much more thoughtful way.
Intelligent, exactly. Yeah.
And a much
Dark
more interesting way.
Is such on some levels, and I know this is going to be really controversial what I'm going to say, but on some levels, I prefer Dark City over The Matrix.
It depends what mood I'm in. If I want to watch a movie that's like balls to the wall action movies with a little bit of kind of pseudo psychological kind of studies about fucking whatever the fuck the architect's talking about. Like, yes, then The Matrix is fun. But I think Dark City is like as a thriller, like as a sci-fi thriller, it's fucking incredible.
So good.
And I get fucking jazzed at that ending, man. I like the ending of Dark City is one of those movies where I'd like. Spoilers for Dark City, by the way, in case because I actually have to say that because not many people have seen this movie, I don't think. But
yeah, no one has.
When he kind of accepts who he is, takes control. Yeah, I am loving it. Sick. I am like I'm jumping in the air. Yeah. Like it's so good, so very good. I can't. Yeah, and if you want to, say, like, I feel like Dark City is the kind of extension of what Proyas kind of played around with in The Crow. He learned a lot of things on this and then kind of refined them because I'd say the production design and even the pacing of the film and the editing is better in Dark City. Like he'd learnt some 100%. Things. He'd learnt those things and gotten better at them.
Crow's kind of first movie, he did a lot of short films and a lot of music videos.
Yeah, it was a music
The Crow
video guy.
Essentially was his first film.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like it's a killer job, absolutely killer job. So Nick, I have seen all of the sequels. Have you seen any of the sequels?
Oh my God, Tyson, really?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ,
who knows how?
Really. I own City of Angels. I will admit to that, only because there are really.
I wanted to watch it last night, and it's not streaming anywhere. I had a feeling where I was like, I should watch a little bit of that because I saw that at the cinemas.
Did you?
Yeah, I remember it so. There are parts of that movie I remember so clearly. Like I remember Iggy Pop in it so well, I remember the bad guy.
Iggy was meant to be in the first one.
Yeah.
Iggy was meant to be Fun Boy,
which is of course because that guy is so clearly channeling Iggy Pop. It's ridiculous.
Iggy Pop, yeah. But yeah, what were you going to say? Who else do you remember?
Judah, the bad guy, and they basically pull the same shit. Like he tries to take the power of the crow. I think he like drinks the crow's blood or something, and
he does. He kills the crow and drinks the blood.
And Sarah's in it again, and she's grown up now,
as older.
Mia Kirshner, is that her name?
Mia Kirshner, yeah.
From not another teen movie.
Stunning woman. My God. Yeah, I remember seeing when I heard, because I love how back in the day of 1996, Tyson, how we would hear about a movie coming out would be we would have to read it somewhere because there was no internet or it was word of mouth. And it was on the back of a comic that I saw Crow City of Angels poster.
I think I might have seen that too.
I shat myself. Oh my God. I grabbed it and put it on the wall straight away. I was like, oh, what is this? I was so excited.
Yeah.
So excited. And of course, City of Angels is a little lackluster. there are some moments.
I would have to rewatch it because, completely honest, I know that it gets absolutely shat upon, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember why, because I really liked it when I saw it, but I saw it when I was 15 years old, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. There's no guts to it, unfortunately, and it's just you don't. Oh, it's funny how we don't spend a lot of time with Eric and Shelley, but you believe in their relationship 100%. Okay. Right. Now, in City of Angels, the guy's name, what's the guy's name?
Vincent Perez. Ash.
Perez. Ash, yeah. His son dies. It's his son who he's coming back to exact revenge. And it's too quick. You don't get, there's no weight. There's a little bit of father-son stuff, which is great, but you're not getting, the world is there. It's kind of nice. I remember the yellow Power Ranger being there.
Oh, yeah. She's like the Bai-Ling of that one. She's a crazy, like, evil sidekick.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I remember. That and it's tickets for the money booths, live girls. It's a live girl nude thing.
Oh yeah, and he pops up in he's in the booth, and the guy thinks
when he puts the coin in. Yeah.
I remember that bit.
I own Crow City of Angels. Yep. So you've seen Salvation?
I've seen Crow Salvation, which Jesus with Eric Mabius and Kirsten Dunst.
And
Fred Ward.
2000.
Yeah, so that's a really strange movie because it feels like it's got nothing to do with the Crow at all. It just happens to have the Crow in it. Like it's a prison drama about a guy that gets he gets the electric chair, but he's innocent.
Right.
And he comes back to basically solve the murder he was accused of committing. And
Walter Goggins is in this sucker.
Oh no way! I don't remember Gogs.
The Gogs.
And it's like, so it's kind of like this weird, quiet drama with a ghost trying to figure out what happened, but he's wearing crow makeup, so it's very strange. I don't remember
Eric Morbus, man. What a weird casting.
Yeah,
like that's just weird.
I don't remember it having very much action in it whatsoever.
Right.
I have also seen The Crow Wicked Prayer.
The Crow Wicked Prayer with oh my God,
Eddie Furlong.
And Tara Reid and Dennis Hopper. What the fuck?
So,
oh my God.
I saw this
Danny
because
Trio.
I was like, as if I'm not watching this, it's got Edward Furlong playing the Crow. But it also has David Boreanaz's Angel playing. Angel. He's the bad guy in it.
Oh, is he?
And he's loving it sick. It is atrocious. It is just barely watchable.
God, damn,
it's just made. Like it's one of those movies that like they got the rights to the character somehow and just made a piece of garbage.
Jesus.
Everything that you hate about the second movie is like amplified 100 times over in that one.
How could? Because James would have to sign off on this. Like James, we're going to have Edward Furlong and Tara Reid. What do you reckon? Look, it's a pass, guys.
Just one more time, but this time check your bank balance. That's how it happens.
Okay, it's a yes.
Okay, that's good. Is this going to cinemas? No? Then even better.
No.
Let's bury this fucker.
Fantastic. Please do not put my name on the credits.
I would say that Salvation is worth watching as kind of like a curiosity if you stumble across it. I think it's kind of interesting. Not good, but kind of interesting. Wicked Prayer is a well and truly a stay away. It is. The novelty of seeing Edward Furlong in a movie wears off really quickly.
Wicked Prayer is a 1.6 rating on fucking Letterboxd.
1.6?
1.6. Salvation is 2.2, and City of Angels is also 2.2, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, geez, I can't believe you've seen them all, Tyson. That is insane, man.
Yeah, that's how much because this was video store days, man. So when I saw... Well, Wicked Prayer wasn't. Wicked Prayer, I don't know how I ended up seeing that. I think I might have done a cheeky download. But Salvation was because it was for rent when I was at the video store, and I was like, I'll give it a crack.
I remember seeing it, and after City of Angels, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to push it. The original Crow is up there in locked in the cabinet up there nicely, and it sits on its pedestal, and no one can harm it, and it's lovely for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Nick, shall we move on? That was a nice little way
That's it.
I like a movie that's on a pedestal and stays there.
On a pedestal.
Yeah, I've got a few of those, and no doubt we'll get to talk about one of mine at some point.
Absolutely.
I've avoided
So
it
if you wish to
point.
find out, ladies and gentlemen, I like that we do this. What Tyson and myself rated The Crow, you can only find that out if you have follow us on Letterboxd.
That's it. Follow us on Letterboxd.
So download the Letterboxd app. Follow Tyson, TYS_videotape, and Nick @NIC_videotape.
That's it. Hey, next, so shall we do a bit of our next segment? I'll get you to count me in.
Which is...
What did you watch this week? But it the nuts.
I like it.
We've forgotten to do the banana nuts. That's the best bit. Why don't we just do one each, Nick? Because we're going long.
One each.
Let's do.
Are we?
Yeah.
Let's do it. One each.
One each.
What did you watch this week? Shit.
I'm going to talk about. I'm torn. I'm going to talk about.
Did I tell you, Tyson, that I watched The Rock? I watched The Rock. Have you seen The Rock?
It's funny. I saw The Rock too. I'm going to talk about... What do I want to talk about? I'm going to talk about The Revenant. I rewatched The Revenant.
Oh, shit. God damn, that's a sit-in.
Look, it's actually... It flies by. I found it interesting how quickly it moved. I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm in for a long sit. And then next thing I know was like, he's already back in the camp. They found him. That was quick.
Shit.
But it's like, don't get me wrong, it's a 2.5-hour movie, but it really moves. I remember it being a lot more. I really enjoyed it on the rewatch. I think I still feel the same way I felt about it after the first time I saw it. I'm a huge fan.
Is this the second time?
Just the second time I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's stuck around. I still think it's really, really wonderful. The one thing that I didn't find it as immersive an experience this time, and I think maybe it was really something else to watch it in a cinema. And I think watching it at home, it just doesn't quite feel the same way. You're still very much engaged, but there was something about seeing it and just the way it's shot with that kind of the lenses that he chooses to use, where if you're in the foreground, you're really it's natural, but as things get further away from you, they bend a little bit. It's kind of fisheye-ish, but not at all. Like not at all.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's
almost POV, but not.
Yeah. And I think watching that in a cinema, it really helped you with the scope of everything. Watching it at home though, because the frame ends and then you've got your wall and the door and other things that are attracting your attention. It didn't have the same effect that it did in the cinema, which Not saying that makes it any better or worse. It was just a different experience this time. I was kind of like, I remember being like really, really feeling like the cold, feeling the harshness of it all. And I didn't.
And he was in that fucking river. Jesus.
Well, anytime anybody in that movie gets into a river fully clothed, I'm like, man, you're going to be cold forever after that. Like, don't you want to keep your clothes dry? What are you doing? But the bit where he gets in the river and he's like in his full clothes and the woolen bit.
Full kit. I know.
I'm like,
Jesus
man,
Christ.
What's the point?
And he's trying to hide at the same time. I'm like, this movie is so intense.
Yeah.
My God.
But the things that still really work for me is that whole, the more kind of the quieter moments of the movie where, he's thinking about his son and his wife, and there's that beautiful sequence where he's kind of hallucinating walking through that abandoned church and all that kind of stuff. That still works really well for me. Funnily enough, all the Leo crying and screaming stuff was a bit I felt a bit much. I felt a bit much. I was a bit kind of like, man, you're working real hard, man, and I really appreciate it, but like, I think it is the quieter moments that I think really do make that movie what it is. But like, fuck, man, like the stuff that he went through, and it looks painful. It really does look painful.
It does. It does.
And as much as we're, yes, I'm sure after he finished filming, he got to go stand in front of a nice warm heater and have a cup of hot chocolate or whatever, shot of whiskey, whatever he decided.
It doesn't look like it though.
But still, some of that, like while he's in it, he's in the water. He's in that water in the middle of nowhere, like. He's sitting in the snow. He's sitting in front of an open fireplace with like shit all over him, like
crawling through it, and he doesn't look happy. He doesn't
crawling
look
along the ground. Yeah, he does not look happy at all.
Jesus.
So I think it's one like you just got to acknowledge and appreciate that they just kind of went, yeah, we're gonna make this movie pretty hard to make for everybody involved, and because it shows, and it makes it. It kind of feels like when you get to the end of it feels like you've been through something as well. And that's 100%. A really great feeling. And I really like Tom Hardy in it as well. I know he got a lot of shit for kind of being a bit too over the top Tom Hardiness with his
he was
voice.
Great. I loved him.
I really like him in it. I think he's great.
I really like him in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck yeah, it's still definitely worth watching. I think it's my favorite of the Inarritu films.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I liked Birdman, but I didn't love it. I was hot and cold on it. I thought it had moments in it that I really liked, but then there was other stuff in it that I was not on board for. And
I love Birdman.
Compared to I think of like 21 Grams and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't ever want to need to see 21 Grams ever again. So
I do because what year did 21 Grams come out? 2003?
I'm going to say around there, 2 or 3 maybe.
I watched it for some reason, and Mystic River came out around the same time, so I was very heavily watching a lot of Sean Penn. I watched that, and I was like, "What the fuck is this film? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I want to understand." So I need to watch it again because I didn't understand what was going on. Maybe I watched it too young.
I kind of feel like, well, we were mid-20s, so we should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember I watched Ameros Peros as well, and I remember hearing so many good things about it. And I think that came off a Tarantino recommendation as well. I think that was one of those things that had his name slapped all over it,
slapped on top.
And I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. And I did not like Babel at all. No. I think I watched about 20 minutes of Babel and was like, no, I'm not into this. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's his strongest film for sure. And I will probably go back and watch it again, even though it's quite a slog. I think it's it's worth revisiting every now and then. I was glad I did because it's been one I've been putting off, thinking that I was not going to like it as much, and I'm glad I did watch it, and I think it still holds up.
Nice. Did you Blu-ray it?
It's HD on Netflix, I think.
HD.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it looks fucking great. It looks so good.
Yeah, because he does shoot a nice movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine's going to be nice and quick. Little Man's getting to the point, because I didn't want to talk Bond, Little Man's getting to the point where he's asking to watch stuff and he won't turn off the fucking Pixar movie Cars. And I'm not going to clock that in my letterbox every time I watched it because my letterbox will be chock full of fucking cars. So Little Man's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, it's Dad's turn to watch something. And he's like, no, it's Clark's turn. I was like, no, mate, it's Dad's turn. And we're going to watch what Dad wants to watch. And you're going to watch what I'm watching. And you're going to watch The Incredibles.
Oh, nice.
So I watched The Incredibles. I forced him to watch The Incredibles. And it's so funny. God, I love The Incredibles.
Did he dig it?
I love it. He did dig it. He did. He likes the cars at the start. There's a fucking little bastard. He likes the cars. There's a police car at the start. He likes Mr. Incredible's car.
Oh, his little car that he has to squeeze into.
Exactly. He likes the little car he squeezes into.
There's something wonderful about how simplistic they are in their joys at that age. It's just like, you know what? Show me a car and I'm happy. I'm sorted.
I'm in. Exactly. And then he'll go off and play cars and then come back and he watches Dash run from those hovering fan things.
Nice.
Yeah. So he loved those. Oh my God. He was like, Dad, there's a moving fan. I was like, I know, buddy. Look at those fans. So yeah. On that side though, sharing Incredibles with my son, Incredibles in itself is such a complete movie. I rate it a 10 out of 10. That's how high I rate The Incredibles. From the art deco to the script to the score to the acting, man, the thing is mint. The thing is just mint. Anyone who hasn't seen The Incredibles, you're an idiot. Someone who's seen The Incredibles and wanted to see Incredibles 2, maybe, give it a pass. Watch Incredibles again.
I still have not seen Incredibles 2.
I'm so excited. I'm going to watch it again. I think you know why, Tys? Because it was so long in between sits that I had built up this incredible sequel to the point where I was like, this is going to be amazing. This thing's going to be amazing. And I was like, oh, that was okay. I'm not saying it's crap. I'm just saying it was good.
No, that's fair. Expectations and all that. It's going to make it tough.
Yeah.
But I still want to see it. I'm still keen to give it a go.
Oh, watch it. You got to give it a watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time. I used to watch Incredibles quite a lot too. I had the DVD, but I honestly don't even know where that is anymore. That's one of those ones that just reminded me. It's like I had that DVD. Where is that DVD?
Yeah. So because I was watching The Incredibles, I'm making a tea and at the same time doing the song in my head or out loud. So every now and then when I go ba-na, ba-ba-na, my son does the same thing.
Nice.
So he ran in right in the middle of the lounge and went ba-na, ba-ba-na. I was like, yeah, buddy.
That's very cute.
Man, it was so good.
Can't beat that.
So good. Yeah, so good.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, so that's it.
That's it. Yeah, well, we're going to decide what we're going to do next week.
Oh, shit.
Well, it's not necessarily just one of my top-tier films, Nick, but
that's true.
This is one of our top-tier films. This is very exciting. We're going to be talking about the 1993 Wyatt Earp story, directed by George P. Cosmatos.
George P. Cosmatos.
Director of Cobra.
Oh,
we are talking
so
about
good.
Tombstone. This is... For those privileged enough to have ever seen my mobile phone on its lock screen will know that since I have had an iPhone for probably, oh man, this is maybe the last 4 or 5 years, my screensaver is Val Kilmer in Tombstone. You're a daisy if you do. Yep. I absolutely love this movie. I know you feel the same. This is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. If you are planning on watching it, we're going to watch the director's cut.
We are.
So be aware. There was a director's cut that I don't think had an Australian release, which is going to make things a little bit difficult. But, because I know my DVD of the director's cut is a Region 1 from the States.
Same as mine.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if the Australian release ever had the director's cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you do, just be aware. If you want to watch it along, we might talk about some stuff that isn't in your version.
Oh, yeah.
So try and track down the director's cut. Yeah, it's fine, but let's see how we go. See if we can track down that director's cut.
Exactly.
I'll be interested to know which one's on iTunes to rent. I might have a little squiz and see which one it is.
Oh, yeah. That might be interesting.
And see if it is, because to be honest, I'd love to see it in full HD, because I know both you and I, we've only got the DVD, so yeah, that would be cool.
I have, yeah.
If it's cheap, I'd consider buying it. There aren't many movies I'd consider buying on iTunes, and having a digital copy, I might buy Tombstone.
Well, I had to watch The Crow on... I've only got 2... There's my original DVD, and then the DVD 2-disc special edition that came out.
Oh, yeah.
That is not a special edition by any fucking means necessary.
Yeah, right.
The special features are shit house. But, hey, it was a different cover. I needed a second copy. I was like, nah, my copy cover, like my original copy, is all worn on one side. And
I get it,
very
man.
well loved. Very well loved.
You got to do it.
But I don't own The Crow on Blu-ray, Tyson.
I do, but
that is fucking blasphemous.
I think I know why as well, because the artwork garbage on the Blu-ray.
It is so fucking bad.
It's terrible.
It is bad.
I got it because it was
it's pixelated.
Yeah, and it's like just white. It's like a weird white silhouette of his face. I want that poster, man. That poster is brilliant.
It is.
Anyway, so next week, Tombstone.
Yes. Tombstone.
Nick, remind the people at home where they can find our show before we say
ladies
goodbye.
And gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us. If you did listen to us and you haven't seen The Crow, if you are a fan of this show, please give it a watch. I would really love more people to see The Crow if you haven't seen it. If you are fans of Nick Tice, you'll give it a watch just for me. Just make sure it's dark. And if it's raining, then it's definitely a need to watch. I always watch it while it's raining. It wasn't raining last night, but it was fucking cold. We are Nick Tyson Videotape. This is my good friend Tyson.
Hey.
Myself is Nicholas. We do a podcast. We'd love for you to like, subscribe, or rate or review us. We would like it muchly.
We would.
Other than that, we are all over the social medias, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do have a YouTube channel, which you can flood full of comments if you wish.
Go nuts.
We are on Spotify, which you can just click on that heart button. I hate Spotify now. They have to click on the stupid heart. I just want to follow one. Anyway, follow us on Spotify. Other than that, download the Letterboxd app if you do love films, and you can rate films. You can look them up. You can look up what's coming in the current years or past years or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can also follow Tyson and myself and find out what we're watching in the interim and seeing what we're rating. What is Tyson going to rate Tombstone after he watches it?
Yeah, no
you
spoilers,
won't know,
but
because we don't talk about it on the show, you'll have to look it up.
I don't think it's going to surprise anybody what I'm going to be rating Tombstone.
TYS_videotape and NIC_videotape. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure and a privilege, Nicholas. Thank you kindly.
It has. Yes.
I'll see you next week, bud.
See you, buddy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.